lawyer Lim Tean was found guilty on July 26 of practicing as a lawyer for about 2 months without a valid certificate. The 59-year-old faced 3 charges under the Legal Profession Act for acting as an advocate and solicitor without authorization between April 1, 2021 and June 9, 2021. Senior District Judge Ong Hyan-sun convicted Lim on all charges after declining the defense's request to adjourn the verdict, pending a criminal motion at the High Court on the upcoming Monday, heard by Justice Hu Shou-peng. According to the report by Channel News Asia, Lim's lawyer, Patrick Fernandez, argued that the High Court's decision would impact the current verdict, as the motion seeks to retrieve correspondence between the Registrar of the Supreme Court and the Attorney General's chambers about other lawyers in similar situations. Today is Friday, Your Honour. The matter is going to be heard on Monday. It's only a matter of a couple of days, argued Mr. Fernandez. He emphasized that the correspondence was relevant, pointing out that a trial witness testified about other lawyers in similar situations, which led Lim to question why he was singled out. However, Judge Ong rejected the argument. Deputy Public Prosecutors Edwin So and Brian Wong argued that Lim clearly breached the Legal Profession Act, which mandates that practicing certificates are valid from the date of issue to the end of the practice year. Lim's practicing certificate was issued only on June 10, 2021. In the 2 months prior, Lim carried on or defended court proceedings on 32 occasions and prepared related documents as many times, said the prosecution. Instead of pleading guilty as a sign of remorse, the accused claimed trial. His conduct during the trial was demonstrative of his guilt, said the prosecution. They added that Lim had no valid defense and had repeatedly attempted to delay proceedings with irrelevant constitutional arguments based on being singled out for prosecution. They pointed out that the trial was initially fixed to begin on August 29, 2023, but was adjourned after Lim sought to change his lawyer. On December 11, 2023, Lim applied for another adjournment due to gastroenteritis. The trial only began on December 27, 2023. During the trial, Lim's lawyers requested correspondence between the Registrar of the Supreme Court and the Attorney General's chambers, but the prosecution declined. A week before the hearing in May 2024, Lim filed a criminal motion for the High Court to direct the prosecution to disclose the correspondence. However, a day before the trial, Lim filed an application for an adjournment pending the criminal motion. The defense argued that Lim's practicing certificate, dated June 10, 2021, authorized him to act as an advocate and solicitor between April 1, 2021 and June 9, 2021. They cited the practice year, which runs from April 1, 2021 to March 31, 2022, as covering the period of Lim's alleged unauthorized practice. The defense also produced a transcript of a former Law Society assistant director's testimony, who stated there was no specific phrasing in the certificate indicating it was effective from June 10, 2021. Lim had informed the Law Society about his lack of a practicing certificate and was advised he could go to court, but needed to inform the judge, which he claimed he did. A criminal was filed after the prosecution refused to disclose the correspondence between the Supreme Court Registrar and the Attorney General's chambers, where it was claimed that a Registrar of the Supreme Court notified the Attorney General's chambers when the Registrar noticed that Mr. Lim was attending court without valid practicing certificate, instead of having a first information report lodged with the Commercial Affairs Department, leading to the charges against Lim. In a previous hearing, Lim, through his legal representative, Mr. Fernandez, expressed disbelief that the Registrar informed the Attorney General's chambers about his court appearances without a valid practicing certificate. Lim also believed that he was not the only one attending court without the necessary certification. Mr. Lim is asking to see the correspondence to establish the truth of the complaint and to see whether other solicitors were in the list. If there were, why is he being singled out for prosecution? Mr. Fernandez argued that without access to the correspondence between the Supreme Court Registrar and the Attorney General's chambers, Lim's defense will be crippled. He is entitled to know the truth about the matter and whether he was the only one who allegedly came to court without a valid practicing certificate, Mr. Fernandez said. In response, Deputy Public Prosecutor So stated that the prosecution would not disclose the correspondence as it contained official communications between agencies revealing internal government procedures. He emphasized that Lim had already been charged with strict liability offences based on attending court without a valid practising certificate, clarifying that this was not an inquiry into other cases. Judge Ong ruled that there was no ambiguity in reading and interpreting the relevant section of the Legal Profession Act. He clarified that the practising certificate issued to Lim clearly stated it only came into force on June 10, 2021. The judge found that Lim had failed to demonstrate any reasonable basis for his purported misinterpretation of the law. Judge Ong further stated that the evidence presented by the prosecution conclusively established Lim's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. He noted that Lim's actions, including his attempts to delay proceedings and his failure to provide a valid defense, reinforced the verdict. The case was adjourned to November 5th for arguments on sentencing. For practising as a lawyer without a valid practising certificate under the Legal Profession Act, Lim could face up to 6 months in jail, a fine of up to $25,000, or both. Lim, who is also the leader of People's Voice, a political party in Singapore, faces 4 other charges that have been dismissed for the time being. These charges include criminal breach of trust as an attorney and unlawful stalking. He has indicated through his lawyer that he intends to contest these charges.